This video is sponsored by Fantasy Football Hub. Every stat used on FPL TV has been taken directly from the hub, and you too can get access to their extensive Opta stats simply by signing up. Their superb Opta tool allows you to filter by position, price, or a specific game week range to identify which players are performing best in the Premier League. To sign up, simply click the link in the description box below. You can also use the code FPLTV for a 10% discount on membership. Warning, this video contains team selection and captain choices which some viewers may find offensive. Hey guys, and welcome back to FPL TV. Before looking at my potential team lineup for Game Week 32+, let's see how the lads performed over the past few days. Having now used my free hit chip, my old squad returned for Game Week 31+, and in that squad included triple ups of both Wolves and Liverpool. Incredibly, every single player from those two triple ups returned points in Game Week 31. Starting with Wolves, Jimenez has now scored in both games since the restart, Traore has assisted in both games since the restart, and Matt Doherty and their defence have kept clean sheets in both. Reliable options to say the least. They've now kept 6 clean sheets in their last 7 Premier League games, a superb record, and now still having a great run of games to end the season, as well as having everything to play for in the hunt for the top 4, I can gladly keep these 3 in the team for now. As for Liverpool, not much needs to be said about these 3. The champions produced a scintillating display at home to Palace, finally wrapping up a well-deserved Premier League title. In terms of FPL, having the double up on both Mane and Salah for Game Week 31 was certainly a luxury. However, I'm not sure it's a luxury I can afford for much longer, if I am wanting to balance out my squad and strengthen other areas. With the title now wrapped up, it's very hard to predict whether Klopp will continue to play both Mane and Salah every game and try to break records, or now use the remaining games as a chance to rotate a bit more and bed in a few youngsters. He could go either way, but with there being that slight bit of uncertainty, is now the time for me to sell one of them and then spread the funds around my squad, especially with Man City away in the upcoming game week. Despite very healthy returns from these two teams, unfortunately the rest of my squad completely flopped. Calvert-Lewin blanked in a very nice fixture against struggling Norwich, and after Danny Ings racked up 11 points in the previous game week, the week that I took him out on the free hit, he now returns to my squad with another inevitable blank, failing to produce even a single shot on target against an Arsenal side that had looked very shaky heading into this game. I've not had any luck with owning Danny Ings this season, so I'm now trying to decide whether it's worth keeping the faith. The most disappointing part of the game week though was my captaincy woes continuing, handing the armband to Mr. Consistent Bruno Fernandes, who hadn't blanked once since his debut in game week 25. The Portuguese talisman had an excellent game against the Blades, but failed to produce any returns in their 3-0 win. The most frustrating part of this blank is that I had 4 options for captaincy last game week in Fernandes, Jimenez, Mo Salah and Sadio Mane, and the one that I gave the armband to was the only one that blanked. Welcome back FPL. So for Game Week 31+, my team ended on a disappointing 68 points. On paper, by no means a bad score, but in this particular game week, with the average being a very high 62, the 3rd highest of the season, unfortunately 68 wasn't enough to achieve a rise in the rankings. I was very happy with the look of my team heading into Game Week 31, so it's certainly a shame not to get a green arrow in this one. It takes my overall score to bang on 1700 and gave me a very small drop in the rankings to 845k. Once this season does finish, I'm really going to have to reflect on just where and how the captaincy picks have gone so wrong this season. Earlier into the season, I put it down to sheer bad luck, but now, with 20 captaincy blanks in 31 game weeks, at some point you have to question yourself and the decision making, and this is something I really want to improve on next year if I am to have a better season. So let's move on to Game Week 32+ now, and first look at how my current squad lines up, before then discussing a few players that could potentially be coming in and out of the squad. Also, if you enjoy the content here at FPL TV, then please be sure to drop a like on the video, and most importantly, get subscribed to the channel. You can also hit the notification bell so you always know when a new video goes live. On paper, I'm feeling a lot less confident about my team for this week when compared to how I felt for Game Week 31. but I think that's more because the majority of my team are away from home in 32, and that includes my premium triple up on Liverpool, who are away to Man City, so not exactly ideal. The Wolves triple up away to Aston Villa looks a decent prospect though, and with Villa only managing 2 goals in their first 3 games since coming back, a good chance of points all round for Wolves in that game I think. Dean Henderson returns between the sticks this week, in place of Alex McCarthy following his clanger against Arsenal, and neither of my goalkeeping options are ideal at the moment. Since the restart, Sheffield United haven't been the solid defensive unit that we've become accustomed to, but with only 7 game weeks left of the season now, it's going to be hard to find a good time to use a transfer on one of my goalkeepers at this point. So hopefully Henderson at the very least can rack up some saves. Charlie Taylor of Burnley will likely make my starting 11 this week, and depending on whether Wilfried Zaha is fit for Crystal Palace in this fixture, that could provide a huge boost in Burnley's hopes of keeping a clean sheet. For this game week, it's my strike force that I'm not particularly confident about, as I just don't see Calvert-Lewin or Danny Ings ever doing the business for me. For captaincy in game week 32, it's likely going to be handed to Raul Jimenez. Aston Villa have conceded 26 goals in 15 home games this season, the 4th worst home defensive record, and in those 15 games they've conceded 41 big chances, the 2nd highest amount behind only West Ham. With a point being no help to either team in this fixture, I'm hoping it'll be a fairly open game, and with Matt Targett bombing forward on that left-hand side, perhaps Traore and Doherty can give Jimenez the service he needs. There is some temptation to also keep the captaincy on Bruno Fernandes this week, because despite his blank in game week 31, he has been very consistent. But the important bit of information to consider for game week 32 is that we mustn't forget the FA Cup is also being played during this game week, and those FA Cup fixtures are all being played after the game week 32 deadline. This means if I do captain a United player, there's always a small chance they could pick up an injury in that cup game, or perhaps get reduced minutes simply due to a harsher schedule. For this reason, if you are captaining a United player in game week 32, just be sure to set your bench accordingly, and also remember to set a reliable vice-captain for this game week. On the bench this week will likely be Lascelles, Fleck and Stevens. Both Sheffield United and Newcastle each have FA Cup fixtures this weekend, which, for the reasons just mentioned, is why I'm favouring Burnley's Charlie Taylor, because at least with him there's a lot less chance of rotation or injury. So this is my current lineup, but I do have 2 free transfers available, so let's look at a few moves I'm considering to make before the deadline. With United putting in an impressive attacking display against the Blades, and with Pogba back from injury to galvanise that attack even further, I'm thinking that adding another United attacker could be sensible for the foreseeable future. United have a superb run of fixtures to end this season, so Rashford and Martial are both very tempting options, each looking like strong captaincy candidates for this game week too. To bring in either of these players this week, then one of Mane or Salah will have to make way. This would then free up enough cash in the bank to take Calvert-Lewin or Danny Ings up to Marcus Rashford. Because I already own Bruno Fernandes, tripling down on the United attack could be putting too many eggs in one basket. And for that reason, Son Heung-min is also a player I'm considering to bring in for Mane or Salah this week. Granted, Son does cost a lot more than Martial, but by opting for him, at least it spreads my bets a bit, and Spurs, like United, are another team that have an excellent run of games to see out this season. By downgrading Salah or Mane to Son, that would leave me just enough cash in the bank to take Calvert-Lewin up to Marcus Rashford, and that's the 2 free transfers I'm considering to use this week. Let me know what you make of these moves, and as always, I'll be posting my final team on Twitter shortly before the game week deadline. So that wraps up my team thoughts for this week. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to drop a like and most importantly get subscribed to FPL TV. I'll be back very soon with more videos on the channel, so until then, FPL responsibly and I'll catch you all soon.